Divine vision means acquaintance with and crystalline understanding of the universal energy. The divine vision eliminates individuality. The manifest is clearly distinguished from the unmanifest. When the sense of individuality is replaced by that of impersonal consciousness, the devotee knows that they are pure consciousness. Manifestation is pure consciousness manifesting itself in all the different names and forms. The spiritually enlightened take part in it sportily, knowing that it is only the play of universal consciousness. The name and form of the spiritually enlightened saint experiences the pangs and sorrows of life, but not their sting. They are neither moved nor perturbed by the pleasures and pains, nor the profits and losses of the world. Thus, they are in a position to direct others. Their behaviour is guided exclusively by the sense of justice. The temporal life must continue with all its complex interactions, but the saint is ever aware that it is only the pure that is expressing itself in different names and forms, and it continues to do so in ever new forms. To them, the unbearable events of the world are just a tame and harmless affair. They remain unmoved in world-shaking events. The consciousness of one's own being, of the world, and of its supporting primal force are experienced all at once. Awareness of one's own being does not mean here the physical consciousness of oneself as an individual, but implies a mystery of existence. Prior to this, in the ignorance of one's own being, there is no experience of reality as being there. But the moment one is aware of being, they are directly aware of the world and the reality too. At the stage prior to this cosmic awareness, the self and its experiences are limited to the worldly life. This worldly life starts with birth and ends in death. To become aware of ourself, the world, and God, all of a sudden, is a great mystery indeed. It is an unexpected gain. It is an absorbing and a mysterious event, extremely significant and great. One who leads their life without ever wondering about who or what they are accepts the traditional genealogical history as their own and follows the customary religious and other activities according to tradition. They lead their life with the firm conviction that the world was there prior to their existence, and that it is real. Because of this conviction, they behave as they do, gathering possessions and treasures for themselves, even knowing that at the time of death they will never see them again. Knowing that none of this will ever be remembered after death, still their greed and avarice operate unabated until death. When we concentrate our attention on the origin of thought, the thought process itself comes to an end. There is a hiatus, which is pleasant, and again the process starts. Turning from the external world and enjoying the objectless bliss, the mind feels that the world of objects is not for it. Prior to this experience, the unsatiating sense enjoyments constantly challenge the mind to satisfy them. But from the inward turn onwards, its interest in them begins to fade. Once the internal bliss is enjoyed, the external happiness loses its charm. One who has tasted the inward bliss is naturally loving and free from envy, contented and happy with others' prosperity, friendly and innocent, and free from deceit. They are full of the mystery and wonder of the bliss. One who has realized the self can never inflict pain on another. The blissful mystic clearly sees the difference between their characteristics before and after realization. All that is transient has an origin in time and is subject to change and destruction, while they are free from change and can never perish. The unchanging one views the ever-changing world as a game. All the characteristics of the saint naturally spring from their experience. As there are no desires left in them, nothing in the world of sense can ever tempt them. They live in the fearless majesty of self-realization. They are moved to pity by the unsuccessful struggle of those tied down to bodily identity and their striving for the satisfaction of their petty interests. Even the great events of the world are just surface lines to them. The number of these lines that appear and disappear is infinite. Individuals are only the faint streaks of these lines, and only as such lines are they recognized. When the streaks vanish, there remains nothing to recognize as individuals. The interval between the moment of emergence and the disappearance of a line is what is called life. The wiped out line can never be seen again. The saint who has direct experience of all this is always happy and free from desire. They are convinced that the greatest of the sense experiences is only a momentary affair. Impermanence is the very essence of these experiences. Hence, pain and sorrow, greed and temptation, fear and anxiety can never touch them. The ever-awaited first moment was the moment when I was convinced that I was not an individual at all. The idea of my individuality had set me burning so far. The scalding pain was beyond my capacity to endure. But there is not even a trace of it now. I am no more an individual. There is nothing to limit my being now. The ever-present anxiety and the gloom have vanished. And now I am all beatitude, pure knowledge, pure consciousness. The tumours of innumerable desires and passion were simply unbearable. But fortunately for me, I am ever free now. I am all bliss. This beatific consciousness form of mine now knows no bounds. I belong to all, and everyone is mine. The all are but my own individuations, and these together go to make up my beatific being. There is nothing like good or bad, profit or loss, high or low, mine or not mine, for me. Nobody opposes me, and I oppose none, for there is none other than myself. Bliss reclines on the bed of bliss. The repose itself has turned into bliss. There is nothing that I ought or ought not do, but my activity goes on everywhere, every minute. Love and anger are divided equally among all, as are work and recreation. My characteristics of immensity and majesty, my pure energy, and my all, having attained to the golden core, repose in bliss as the atom of atoms. My pure consciousness shines forth in majestic splendor. Why and how the consciousness became self-conscious is obvious now. The experience of the world is no more of the world as such, but is the blossoming forth of the self-same conscious principle, God. And what is it? It is pure, primal knowledge, conscious form, the primordial I consciousness that is capable of assuming any form it desires. It is designated as God. The world as a divine expression is not for any profit or loss. It is the pure, simple, natural flow of beatific consciousness. There are no distinctions of God and devotee, nor reality and Maya. One that meditates on the bliss and peace is himself the ocean of peace and bliss. Glory to the eternal truth, Sat Guru, the Supreme Self. The devotee pours out their devotion, molds their behavior in every respect in accordance with the will of God. In turn, they find that God is pleased with them, and this, their conviction, takes them nearer to God. And God's love and friendship with them grows richer and richer. The process of surrendering to the will of God in every respect results in blessings. One who is blessed by God is a blissful soul. Being at peace with themselves, they look at the objects of enjoyment with perfect indifference. They are content with whatever they have and are glad to see others happy. If a person believes that they are blessed by God and is still unhappy, it is better that they give up this delusion and strive for the coveted grace with sincerity and honesty. Divine plenitude and favour is not judged by the objects of sense, but by the internal contentment. This verily is the blessing of God.